Okay, so I've had a few video problems today. Audio problems more actually correctly than video problems. It seems like we might have them whipped. We'll see how that works out. Today we're going to talk about the subject of change on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt. It is Thursday the 8th of July of 2021, and I'm happy to have you aboard, whether it's on Rumble, on YouTube, or on the podcast, or for that matter anywhere else. Hopefully I'll give you something to think about today. That's what I try to do as a general thing. Again, my subject for the day is going to be change. That's what we're going to talk about. So let me go ahead and read my notes real well. Actually, I want to talk about a couple of things that I've noticed in the course of time and kind of give you the opportunity to see some things that I've come across. The first of these is I've worked for various places where other people came from other places that did the same sort of work. Notably, I worked for a direct mail house where this was the case. And a couple of people came from another location and started working in that direct mail house. And those individuals, when they came there, decided they wanted to work like we were working, but ultimately decided they wanted to change how everything was being done. And that's fine and everything, except that the whole thing about it is, what they were really doing is not embracing change themselves, right? Because they wanted to go back to what they were doing as opposed to doing something new. Now, the second thing that I noted was particularly notable in my military time, and it was that there was this tendency for people to say, we're going to change things in this way, and for the folks that were doing the everyday work to inside themselves kind of go, nope, not going to do that, we're not changing anything. So there is a little bit of a resistance to change, and we recognize that. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and read my notes real quick so you have an idea what kind of brought on this video. Is change always bad? I'm pretty sure anyone taking just a moment to think that through would readily answer no. Yet, when people change, many of them want to act like they stayed the same. I'm that kind of person who typically carefully considers what he does and why. As such, I'm not at all sold on change without good reason. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I lost my notes there for a second. Even I have to admit, I've changed substantially over the years. That said, it's far truer that others I know have changed in substantial ways, yet fail to acknowledge that's the case. I guess that's to be expected when you consider just how resistant the average person is to change. It would be so much easier, though, if folks were to look back at their own selves in past to see how different they are than they were. Again, that's not always a bad thing. I think one of the reasons it's so hard for folks to cop to the fact that they've changed is that it means they sort of have to renounce the earlier version of themselves. But that's just a part of growing up and becoming wiser. If folks could realize that, it would it would be far easier to let go of a whole lot of folly they seem to resist shedding. So, this is sort of where I am at this point. I've been watching people for a long time, and I've noticed that one of the hardest things, that there are two hard things for people. One is to change in the first place, right? That's a hard thing for a lot of folks, myself included. I've had to learn some techniques to bring myself along to a place where I was a different person than the one who I was in past, where I looked at the things that I was doing and went, I really want to be doing this instead of that. I didn't for a long time want to do videos of any kind at all. I'll just tell you that right now. I thought, why would anybody want to do that to themselves? Well, it turns out that hopefully I can impart a little wisdom, and hopefully I can get people looking at what I'm saying, if for no better reason than to tell me where I'm mistaken in what I'm saying. But here's the thing. Let's say I don't manage that. Then at least they have to hear what I have to say so that they can consider it, and at least they can decide you're all wet, and here's why. And that's fine and good. But the point is, all of us have a hard time with the idea of change, right? And I'm not blaming anybody for that, and I'm not either trying to say that change is always a great thing. It's not always some silver bullet to make you a better human being or help those around you to be better people or whatever. It's just not. And anybody who says that it is foolish. On the other hand, if you take the time to sit down and look at who you are, the Jews, I'm told, have a time of the year when they reflect on the last year and who they are and what they've done and what they could make better and so forth, and they soberly judge their former actions and sort of resolve to do better in the future. I don't know exactly how that part works. I'm not smart enough to answer that. Maybe somebody who happens to be Jewish could help me to understand, and I promise I'd be willing to listen without a doubt. But the thing of it is, I think we all need to do that, except that I think we all need to do that as a consistent thing. I think we need to look at ourselves, not obsessively, but I think we need to look at ourselves and decide how I should change. I think that's an important thing. Resistance to change, not a surprising thing, not necessarily a bad one, but when you allow yourself to live in a world resistant to change, things that could improve your lot will cease or will not be possible if you refuse to acknowledge that you must change to have them be so. Life is about change in many regards. You lose people, you gain people, you lose friends, you gain friends. So many things in life involve change. And like I say, sometimes that's not the greatest thing in the world, but guess what? You still have to live with it. You still have to live with it. You can maybe do some things to make that change less problematic. I certainly would say that. On the other hand, you can. There are some times when you'll find that the change that you're actually being asked to make, even though it didn't seem good when you started with it, was actually sort of ideal, was a good thing. So I guess what I'm saying is really pretty simple. It is, we're destined for change. Just as a human being, as you grow older, you may grow wiser, but you'll probably grow weaker. That's a pretty common thing. You may grow healthier. You may grow less healthy. That's going to be from person to person. And sadly, genetics has its play in that. I don't know about sadly, but it has its play in that, and you're going to have to deal with that. But there are so many ways in which you're going to have to deal with change. And one thing that I would ask people, I said, if folks could realize it would be far easier to let go of a whole lot if folks could realize that it would be easier to let go of a whole lot of folly they seem to resist shedding, right? It's just part of growing up and becoming wiser, right? This is really an important understanding about how the sort of change to self works. Again, the world around us is going to change whether we like it or not. We can like it, we can hate it, it will happen. And I hope that you learn to deal with it, and I hope over the course of time that I manage to do a little bit of a better job of doing that as well, because I have to acknowledge I don't necessarily handle change as well as I'd like to myself. I'm trying much harder, or very hard, to get to the point where I accept change and where I acknowledge change and where I look at change and decide whether or not it's a good thing, and then I work to change myself to make it so that I can deal with whatever change comes my way. And hopefully you're doing the same sort of thing, right? That's my hope. But if you're not, I suggest that it's something that you want to do. I guess I'm just not going to get rid of the buzz today, so you're going to have to listen to a little bit of background noise. I am going to work on trying to make that better over the course of time. I think I've come to the conclusion about what's causing it, and it may mean that I'll have to have another kind of background noise to keep it from happening. For the time being, I'm going to go ahead and live with it, though, because we're coming up on the end of the video. Again, the thing about change is you're going to have to deal with it one way or another. Preferably, you will find positive ways to do so, either realizing that it's a good thing, or you will come to understand that maybe it's not so great, but you can do things that will make it better as time goes on. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap up my video. Again, excuse the noise. I will do what I can to figure out exactly what's going on there. I'm afraid I'm stuck with it for the time being. Someone sold me what amounted to a lemon of a computer, and it's been doing this noise ever since. On and off. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I am your host, I am Kurt. Today is Thursday, the 8th of July of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Friday, the 9th of July of 2021. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform. You can give me a positive Rumble on Rumble if you choose to do so, or a negative one. You can give me a like or a thumbs up or a thumbs down or a don't like, dislike, whatever on YouTube as well. And you can comment on either one of those platforms to let me know what things you have problems with about various things that I'm saying. Subject for today has been changed, and tomorrow we're going to talk about the subject of missing the long term, which I think a lot of people do. In any case, that will be the subject on tomorrow's Daily Summation. That'll be on Friday, as I say, so hopefully you'll be able to come and visit me then. Hope you're having a good day today. Hope you're kind of slowly moving into the weekend, and hopefully that will be a good thing for you. And hopefully we will see you again on tomorrow's edition of the Daily Summation. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video is recorded on Thursday, July the 8th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.